So welcome everybody back to Chasing the Dream, this little old podcast dedicated to talking to amazing people doing amazing things to talk about, putting people first and building amazing workplace cultures. And I'm really excited today to have Laura Jennings join us. So very quickly, we're going to dive in. But first, Laura, if it's okay, I'd like to give folks a little bit of a background on you.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so Laura Jennings is the Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of Level Up Strategies, a remote consulting firm powered by foreign service and military spouses, is the owner of multiple businesses herself and an EFM herself. Laura focuses on progress for both the businesses and organizations that Level Up serves and the unique workforce that supports them. With bold vision and a purpose-driven approach, Laura helps individuals and organizations level up to new possibilities that they hadn't yet imagined for themselves. So Laura, I'm super excited to have you on Chasing the Dream today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It is a wonderful podcast. I'm very excited to be part of it.
Well, thank you. So folks don't know this because we've spoken previously, and you had shared that the foreign service spouse, the EFM military spouse, possesses very specific sets of qualities and traits that allow the collective you to help organizations through growth phases, and especially in chaotic and transformational times. So can you talk a little bit about those characteristics and why organizations looking for amazing people should reach out to Level Up?
Sure. Well, an EFM or an eligible family member is a spouse or partner of a person who is serving through the Foreign Service and working at an embassy posted either overseas or some consulates that are posted domestically. And then military spouses obviously are moving from deployment to deployment with their spouse or partner. And so our team is made up of these spouses and partners because not only do they provide, I mean, 9 times out of 10, they have secondary degrees, they have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 degrees. They have great experiences. They're coming from careers before they maybe have joined with their family into this foreign service or military life. But then also the qualities that you sort of amass having had this experience. This will be my 5th post. We've lived in France, Brazil, Turkey, now Germany. Um, and then there's been a few where I've been at home and my spouse has been posted elsewhere. And so it just is a lifestyle that requires you to be nimble and think on your feet, solutions oriented, open minded. You gain various perspectives from all sorts of different cultures, but also you really learn, okay, there's 2 sides to every story. Because you might see something from a perspective that makes sense to you. And it's not until you're living in this country and spending some time there that you're like, okay, now I can understand why they do this thing the way they do it. These are very applicable traits to put to businesses, especially businesses experiencing growth or progress. Because EFMs, I mean, there's sayings, you can't go, the only way to get through the only way to face something is to get through it, right? You have to walk through that storm. And so EFMs and military spouses are very used to that because we don't really have a whole lot of other options, but then to keep putting one foot in front of the other and making progress.
One of the things that struck me just listening to you now, but also from prior conversations, is because of that, I guess, picking up and moving potentially to an entirely different culture and maybe doing it as you've done it repeatedly, you don't have any choice but to go in, hit the ground running, get acclimated pretty quickly, understand your support network, figure out where all the resources are, support networks, and align yourself with support, and just adapt to as things happen. You're in a different environment. You're constantly adapting until you create that normalcy for you, your children, your family. Well, what do you find that means in terms of hiring people with that diverse background to be able to adapt into an organizational setting? Because as I kind of said in my intro, we are in crazy, insane, chaotic times. And there is no standard, it seems like. There's no normal. So how do you kind of encourage organizations to hire people who are ideally prepared to excel in that environment?
We talk about that a lot in our website and everything that we do with Level Up, because essentially Level Up was founded based on the idea that we were going to be able to match businesses that want growth and progress with a group of people that are comfortable in that discomfort. And I mean, really the the team that we're building and the employees that we have on our staff, or and even some of our like contractors who are just doing work with us on a project basis, every single one of them is a part of the reason why we started the company, because of who they are, what they've experienced. And when we share these team members in our group with these businesses that want to have some sort of progress or growth, they're astounded by just how fast we can look at a problem and see, okay, well, the first right step might be here. Not necessarily, let's just get to this end conclusion, but I'm seeing the first right step is going to be here. And then the next right step is going to be along this way. And so we're able to change if we need to. We're able to look at these issues and not necessarily need perfection, but just need some progress in the right direction, the direction that they want to go. And we're comfortable with that. So when we talk to our clients, we just talk about how our team is not, they're not going to waste 6 months of your time putting together the plan. They're not going to drop a huge plan. You know, there's consultancy anxiety, right? Like they're not going to just drop a huge plan on your table and say, go do it. They have already looked at the how, because that is the way we start from day one when we land in a new country is, okay, how am I going to get this achieved? How am I going to get my kids acclimated, my spouse acclimated, myself acclimated um, into this new environment? And so we build out that how, and then we actually do it. And we've done it professionally, we've done it personally. And this, Level Up has a whole, piece of our services that is all about the implementation, because our team's not afraid to actually get in and do the work.
This is not something that you have to lean into as a behavior at work. You're
No.
already, it's your life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the things that I've never actually asked you, and I think it's before we go any further, I have to ask you is how did Level Up get started? Like I never put the pinpoint on
Oh.
how did you start Level Up Strategies?
Well, so I met my business partner, Rona Job, in Brazil. We were both posted in Brazil, and I was running a Pilates company. Basically, the way I went through each of my posts was I needed to, and the reason why when you introduced me, Laura has multiple businesses, is because I would start businesses with our move every 2 to 3 years. Pilates, I knew how to run a business. I didn't really know what that business needed to be, but Pilates was great for English speaking communities. And I was really able to stand it up, make it successful, and break it back down and move to the next place and stand it up again within a quick amount of time. Rona would see this when she was with me in Brazil. She saw how I did this, and she has always been doing consulting work and was able to do some remote consulting work when she was in Brazil. However, she found that without having boots on the ground in DC or in the Maryland, Virginia area, her client base kind of dwindled out. Even the company that she worked with was not going to bring her more clients or just send her more clients. So she came to me when we were both back in the United States. It was 2019, and it was early 2019, and she said, I'm thinking about starting this company. I've had some success progressing small businesses using, what I know from my consulting acumen and my business acumen. And I think that I could be here in the DC area, you know, creating the networking connections we need to send this work out to EFMs and have them actually do the consultancy and the implementation and provide meaningful careers where the EFM is not just staying in a stagnant position, but always moving up in their position, learning, learning all about business and positioning themselves so that when they are back in the States, they would be able to be eligible for, upper level jobs, upper management, director, C-level jobs that they wouldn't be eligible for with piecemeal resumes and or maybe like lateral jobs from year to year to year, post to post to post. So she's talked about that being something she wanted to do, and I said, I am in. This is something I'm passionate about, and that February we started, and we've been in business for 5 years. We started doing the planning in February. We actually incorporated in March.
You talk about from your perspective, your experience going literally every 2 years and starting as you kind of move the next experience, you're starting a new business. And that's serial entrepreneurship. And that's
Mhm.
this idea that you're coming up with an idea, you're implementing it, but you're making it happen immediately and you're getting everything in alignment to launch it. It launches and then you grow it. And that 2 year window where they're just doing it repeatedly sounds like it's almost a cookie cutter approach for success to introduce to your clients. Like it sounds like you said, most consultants come up with this lengthy plan, they drop it in the client lap, the check's clear, and then they walk away. But this
Mhm.
is like fundamentally different from an approach to serving clients. It's like really measured and it's repeatable.
Well, a lot of times when our clients are in a growth phase, they don't have the capacity or the resources. Their focus needs to be on either, building the business or be out there, making sure that the delivery is going well. And so that is just the added bonus, having this workforce that's available to, like you said, get in there and do the work. That is something that is really, really valuable to being able to achieve that progress, because providing, suggestions and recommendations and a plan that then the company is going to have to take on and actually implement is is really impossible when you're also trying to grow, because you have, it's not only a fire hose, but it's a fire hose with a bunch of pinholes in it, and you have to stop all of them, right? So, with a team that can come in and take care of those pinholes, then you can start keep making sure that you still have, you're achieving the growth that you want to be focused on. A lot of business owners, they they started business because of a passion. It was really interesting for me because I went into Pilates because it seemed like a good place to go. I am passionate about it, I enjoy it, but I was interested in business for the sake of business, and I didn't really start my company because of a passion and then not really know how to run a company. A lot of our clients did start with a passion. And now that they have teams, I mean, as you know, leading teams it's not the same as starting a company.
No, it's an entirely well, that's kind of what we had talked about previously. That's an entirely separate skill set.
Hmm.
And I guess that's a really interesting kind of transition to something else I was wondering about is the matching process that you and Rona go through. Like, how do you identify who the best people on your team, foreign service spouses, military spouses, how do you go by individual on your team and match them to the client? Because every client is different. So how do you kind of process that for the benefit of the two parties you serve, which is the people in your organization and the clients you serve?
Yes. Well, we have a few things in place to make sure that we can do a good job with matching. Rona has always come from a deep operational strategy background. I've always come from a deep marketing communication strategy background. So we kind of being able to understand both of those sides really has been very helpful because we can kind of make a home for each side of, those larger business areas. And the people that come in, they might be more mark our focuses are either advisory, like management advisory, management consulting, strategic communications, and then we have an HR component. So we have another person on our team that we've brought in to sort of head that HR component and build the teams. But building teams for us really comes from having strong operational foundation and design. And that's going to be through the management consulting side and having a strong communication space as far as whether it needs to be internal or an understanding of your identity or whatever your core communications are. Um, so when we bring people in, we can kind of see like which side they're going to gravitate to for their from their history and their experience. And then we also have sort of like a personality test, sort of leadership test that we provide for them to understand, where their strengths, where their weaknesses, where do they default as like the things that they enjoy working on and doing, what will they do because they have to, but where do they, where do their talents most naturally lie? And we kind of use that information to help us see what might be a good match and which clients would be good matches. But our client manager, our internal team, they tend to be generalists with interests lying in either operations, communications, or HR. And then we do have specialists. Like I said, we have some external people on our team that are still, a part of the group that are going to be more specialized in maybe it's like PR and media, or it is graphic design or financial analysis or something like that.
Do you ever find that in conversations with clients or potential new clients that there's any hesitancy to make a commitment to foreign service or military spouses because of, as you were saying, the rotational element that they serve and they move to a next post? Is there any kind of concern that they raise about those folks transitioning or moving around? Like, how does that work?
That's kind of the beauty of Level Up because as EFMs, we often do have to quit our jobs. As EFMs, we don't tell our bosses necessarily what's happening next because you can't really share, well, I know I'm going to be in the country for 3 years. So it's hard to share that and get somebody to really want to invest in you. So Level Up's built platforms and our whole operating system allows for people to visually work and allows for project management platforms. It's being able to come in, pick up on a project, comment, leave updates, work on it, and then whoever may pick it up next in another time zone can see where it is. That's also very helpful because we keep our team employed when they are moving from post to post. So we are getting ready in May to enter into our what we call PCS season, which is permanent change station. We have people on staff. We sort of start gauging early in the year. Okay, who's moving? Who's going to need 4 to 6 weeks? Who's going to need, longer than that? Last time, what are the dates? How do we coordinate? Last year we had our director of operations gone for 6 weeks, and we were awesome. We we know how to.
You just say that as if it's nothing, but I think people who hear that kind of do what I just did. Viscerally, we go, because to you, that's not a massive glitch. That's just, we incorporate it into how we've grown level up strategies. It's just what you were saying before. We know it's going to happen. We know PCS, we plan for it. And most
Mhm.
organizations don't plan for anything. They don't even have a bench internally. So they don't prepare for their turnover. So that's why I was asking, because I would imagine that on surface level, that could be a valid concern. But if you go any deeper, it makes no sense because of all the planning
We
you
do.
are tasked with doing.
I think I don't know too many EFMs who are not planning something. So that space of planning and preparing, we're very comfortable in.
Okay.
But the best laid plans also, you're not moved into that country until you like land in that country either. We are very comfortable with ambiguity, and we're also very used to plans changing at the last minute. So with that, we lay the best plans we can, and then we make adjustments as we have to. And we really we don't go for perfection. Like I said, we go for progress, and we use that to keep us moving forward, but also just to be able to say, okay, let's evaluate what happened immediately and make sure that we can make this better for the next time, or how can we take what this experience was and make sure that we're learning from it. So we plan ahead, but we also take a lot of time to make sure that we're evaluating on the back end too.
There are two things that strike me about that. The first is it goes back to what you said earlier about the kind of personality makeup of individuals, foreign service members, family, military families members who are part of your team. You sometimes put on hold, or I think you said give up, all this prior experience, knowledge, but that's a wealth, a reserve of skill and capability. And then the other part is, as you said, going from stop to stop to stop. You talked to me or previously about certain characteristics that builds, or you look for in your team members: adaptability, resourcefulness, just an innate ability to solve problems. And it seems like all of our talk today has been about you, your team, the people you match with organizations having those characteristics.
Yes, definitely. They're resourceful, they're persistent, you know, and we as a team inside of our own team culture, have things that allow for being able to solve the problem on your own if you need to. Obviously, we have collaboration, but you can figure out, what it is that you might need, the resource that you might need, how to get to it, and we use that a lot to be able to help our team work in an autonomous manner, because that's actually one of the most important pieces, is that we have people who are in the Far East, we have people who are in Europe, we have people on the East Coast and all the way through the US. And we want to make sure that somebody isn't required to come in and work for Level Up and sit down on an East Coast time schedule and do their whole day. So yes, a lot of these characteristics are about, being able to be resourceful, being able to work on your own and pick up where somebody has left off, being able to visually work, and then keeping the client's progress at top of mind. Like, is this going to help them? What is the return? Is this even worth going down that road? How is it going to ensure progress for them? Because we're careful with their resources as well, and we're careful with their capacity and their capacity for change too, because that's really important, not only for the business owner who really wants this change, but for the team who's going to have to adopt it as well.
I, I guess I hear about, we've talked about how you started, the growth, where you are currently. And I guess my fascination is, where do you see level up strategies like in the future? Where do you want to go next?
So we are working with larger organizations, larger companies. We just secured our first sub on a government contract. Yes. So we're getting the potential to have our revenue where we want it so that we can help more and more small businesses because their resources are fewer as well, but so that we can help more and more companies so that we can continue being, we want to be a main hub of hiring for EFMs. We want to be able to hire as many EFMs as we possibly could and have them working on these projects for these clients. So that's our first big step, is just really being able to hire as many EFMs as possible. Um, but we're also very, very dedicated to advocating for the EFM's ability to work, to have teleworking opportunities, to choose what it is they might want to do and to be looking out for them, because that is a big factor in making sure that we keep a good, strong foreign service workforce and military workforce. Um, the family being able to have their own identities and their own things that they're working on and doing, and not just sort of following from post to post to post, um, is really, really going to be important, because as more families, have two income households, strong incomes, it is not really a value, or maybe even a smart idea to drop one of those um, salaries completely and start moving around the world. So we want to make sure that our workforce is able to work so that the foreign service and military workforce can also be robust, because there are opportunities when a family decides to take this on.
So as you look to grow, but grow meaningfully through serving those two groups, the EFMs who say this is a part of an organization I want to belong to, and an organization, not just businesses, but nonprofits and government agencies who say we really want to work with level up strategies. How do they get in touch with you? How do they reach out to your team? Because we need to connect them to you. This is something that I felt very passionately about when I started stalking you on social media, and then we spoke. And so, I mean, how do people take that step of getting to join your team, or talking to you about how you can help their organization grow through this meaningful kind of talent, this rich source of talent that I believe is being grossly underutilized?
Well, the most important thing I think to notice is that level up is actually spelled LVL. That's really important.
It's right there. I didn't know how to say it, but yes, LVL dash
So,
UP.
so if you spell it LVL, Level Up Strategies, you can find us. We're at levelupstrategies.com. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram. My personal email is laura.jennings@levelupstrategies.com. And I'm always happy to reach out and chat with people. But on our website, there's opportunities to set up, if you're a company that would like to work with us and like to be able to use the resources that we're providing through our team, um, what our team can, give to these companies, then there are ways to schedule discovery calls. If you are an EFM and you're very interested in working with us, or a military spouse, there is a career section on our website, and you can fill out the form and submit your resume. We have a huge database of EFMs that we are, you know, if it's not a project with us, we also try and help, you know, match projects with some of our clients. Sometimes our clients are ready to grow to the point that they have a, they need to have somebody come fully on board, and they look to us and they're like, can you find me somebody? Because they know how much they like working with us. And so they'll say, can you find me somebody who, you know, could work for my team, and we will make sure that as we plan that we put them through an onboarding for you and, help you get them acclimated, just to make sure that it's not, that it's somebody who you'll be able to retain on your team, because I think making sure that they're feeling welcome and well onboarded is really important for them.
I mean, the onboarding is just literally the start of the relationship, but even goes before then to the matching and everything you do to make sure it's an optimal fit. So those people who had a moment where they didn't catch all of your contact details and they said, wait, what did she say? Or how do you spell level up? I will put all of your contact details in the description below. So don't worry, just go to the description, find all of Laura and Level Up Strategies contact details. I'll have your email address, the website, your LinkedIn profile, and folks can reach out to you directly. Before I let you go, Laura, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your experience. Thank you to you and all you do and your husband for his service. And thank you for creating a critical match. I mean, you're a lifeline, a bridge between organizations who've historically not tapped into this incredible workforce and the people who have so much to contribute. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on this podcast. It's been such a pleasure to meet you. I am so excited to keep listening to your podcast, because I already have learned so much in the in the episodes that I've listened to. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.